Welcome. My name's Dan Watson.
And I'm Paul Sloggett. Welcome to the Dirt.
Ladies and gentlemen, for your oral and viewing pleasure tonight, we have the brothers, James and Ben Wanklyn, long-time legends of the UK scene, been in it since they were both knee-high to a grasshopper, and hopefully they're going to join us now. And we wait. Bada bing.
Yo.
Everybody hear each other?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Perfect. That's what we like to hear. Well, welcome to the Dirt. This our stunning studio.
Looks like you put a lot of effort into that.
That's it. I'm not sure what episode we're on now. 16, 17, something like that. We're cracking them out, and I thank you for your time and desire, if you will, not desire to come on. We've asked you. It ain't been the other way around. But yeah, thanks for coming on. And
asked them. I thought you were paying them now.
Only if you can survive on stickers. Don't mind. They're edible. I don't know how much nutritional value they've got. But...
Stick of tea.
That's it. Stick of dinner. Right. So yeah, let's crack on with it. I don't know how. Normally we've only got the one guest, so tonight it's going to be a little bit interesting. Hopefully you guys are going to remind each other of a few little bits that you've come across along the route. I'm sorry about this, Ben, but I'm going to go with the eldest, assuming that you were the first to step foot on a mountain board. Yes. Would that be a correct assumption?
Yeah. I think
by how long?
I think it's about 5 years roughly. So yeah. I started 2001. So we grew up with, I don't know if you know, Kynan Goggin, Jake Goggin, Tyler Harvey, some of the old Court Farm crew, and we were around their house. I was only 9, and our mums saw an advert for Court Farm's first ever opening weekend.
Yeah,
and thought, that would be a good day out. That'd be a bit of a laugh for taking them out for the weekend, and then that was it. So, but Ben was only 4 at the time. Yeah. And I was 9. So yeah, I started in 2001, and I was thinking about this earlier. I think Ben's first proper year must have been 2006. So you're about 8 years old.
Oh,
yeah, somewhere about there.
So that would have been, I forget the name of the. I always remember there being a woman at Court Farm with long, dark, curly hair.
Yeah, that's Kirsten. So that's Kynan and Jake's mum.
Right.
So it was Nikki and Tim were the landowners at Court Farm, and it all started because they had this steep hill that they did nothing with apart from grey sheep in the winter, and their dad Roy was like, he was a bit eccentric and a bit crazy, and he's just like, what can we do with this hill? And somehow ended up on the deep dark internets and found mountainboarding and just went, this looks class, let's do this. And then that was it. He rolled with it, and Roy was mad. He was the one who was always smoking his pipe in the Land Rover, taking us boys up the hill every weekend, and adamant for years on end that he wanted to build a dirt loop for us to ride.
You guys obviously you lived close to Court Farm then.
Yes, we lived in Hereford. Yeah, so 3 miles. So that's and the Goggins were in Withington, just outside, so they were 4 miles away. And so that's why it just started as a day out.
Yeah,
parents, and then 20 years later we're still going.
And Ben, if we're assuming that what James, you're 5 or 6 years older. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, James is 6 years.
6 years older.
Oh, so if you were 4 when your big brother's going every weekend to a mountain board centre, were you dragged along and just had to run around the bottom of the slope and just watch and wait for him to come down?
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm looking at this nod like yeah, that was my fault.
Yeah, unfortunately. I had to wait.
Honestly, by the time he got on the board, he was absolutely chomping at the bit. My mum just wouldn't let him go on it until he was a decent size. I think she didn't want him to be put off by being so small and not being under the board.
I got to say, I remember seeing you, Ben, as a kid, but you were quite a small kid. Am I right in thinking that? Like, I mean, you've both grown to normal adult size. I mean, some of the mountain board community hasn't, have they? Any name?
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, but you guys haven't been stunted. But I obviously went away in probably around 2006, 2007, that sort of time. So when I was leaving, you'd have literally just been starting.
Yeah, so 01 was the first year I went on a board, but I was riding like higher boards for the first year. I think my mum got me one for Christmas at the end of 2001. A small scrub skid of 35 on the wall behind. It's like this thick, no flex. One of those bad boys. And we rode those for a few years. Went to visit a couple of competitions. I think we went out to Grass in 2002 to watch when it was on the old hill. So not the last one, it was on the previous bit. Went to Eastnor Castle. I think there was like a free ride thing at Eastnor.
Yeah, I remember going to Max Track Classic. Well, it was called the Max Track Classic when I went there, but I don't know if it was under a different name, like as part of the. It was according to Matt, an original ATBA site.
Yeah. So, but our first time riding at a competition, just me and my mum went to Hales, but before it was Hales, I went to ride the hill in 2005.
Yeah.
It was just me and mum went because at that time my dad wasn't interested in mountainboarding. He thought he fell asleep on the side of the hill out to Grass, saying all they're doing is going over the jumps and touching the board in different places.
That's pretty much it, though.
Yeah. Well, he's not wrong, but before you know it, he was doing the starting gates and loving life. But yeah, so me and my mum went without the rest of the family, and then we came back, and my mum had a great time as well because along with all the other mums and stuff, they had they had a good party. And then after that, it was like, right, we're going to every single one. So 06, we went to every single one, and Ben came along, and then we started riding properly at the competitions, from there on.
And did you have to have? Did you start out with the hand-me-down boards like clothing? Did you have the Scudder as well as your first board?
Not so much his hand-me-downs. I think we got separate as we go along. I think it started off as a scrub, but
your first board actually was Kine and Goggins hand-me-down.
Yeah,
was that
and the Comp 6
Jeep CJ? That was exactly what you had, a Jeep CJ5.
Oh,
the first one, yeah.
I'd forgotten about that board.
Yeah,
man.
I knew exactly what it looks like, but I'd completely forgotten that existed.
Yeah, that was your first one. It was Kynan's hand-me-down when he upgraded to a Comp 6, and then you actually got his Comp 6 hand-me-down as well.
Yeah. I've actually got pictures of that board at Swanbook in one of the boxes somewhere in here. Me about 3 or 4 foot tall.
That would have been that would have been your first year, 2006, because I remember vividly having a broken collarbone, not being able to ride at Swanbook, and watching you try that old foam pit for the first time. Yeah. he went upside down, landed on his head, and because he was so small and the board was so big, he was literally like an overturned turtle and just could not get out for the life of him. He was in there for about 5 minutes until I had to go in with a broken collarbone and trying to hoof him out.
Yeah, not even 5 foot tall.
Yeah, tidy.
But you both kept. So I'm assuming you'd have been turning 10 yourself then, Ben. Were you then both weekends, like, because you've got other family, haven't you? Other family, obviously you've got parents, but you've got other siblings.
Yeah, we've got the older sister, but she wasn't ever really interested. She tried it once, didn't she?
Yeah, I tried once and was like, yeah, no, mate.
Yeah, not really interested.
So they're just going over a bump and touching it in different places.
Yeah, exactly. No, she just came along and just got drugged. That was literally it. When she was of the right age, she came to every mountain competition just for the party. So
yeah,
they do a pretty good party, don't they?
Yeah,
that has to be said. So, were you were like Court Farm Groms then? Like you grew up there?
Did you work as pad monkeys?
I taught lessons eventually, but no, not really that. We were just there all the time.
More locals.
Along with Kine Goggin, Jake Goggin, Tyler Harvey, and then Tom Rees, Sam Nicholas, Tom Donaldson, literally the whole Court Farm. We just all grew up together.
Hefty crew.
I look forward to just splicing those photos together now. Ting, 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 ting. Every shout out like that.
Every Wednesday night was board owners' night. So we'd go on the weekends, but every Wednesday evening and afternoon after school, only people who own their own boards could go. So you took turn up, pay a $5, and we'd ride in the evening till it got dark. That carried on when Raph took over as well. We had irons. We called them Orange Wednesdays because he loves the pun.
A pun or a punk?
Well, I tell you what, that's a chat that we could do with getting on here at some point.
If there's a man with some stories
to tell.
Very interesting stories.
Yeah. So 2006, now you're both sort of competing, doing the tour every year. What are you would have been coming up 16, still in the under 18s, I'm assuming at this point, James. Did you have success in that? Like, were you both successful in your categories as you come up? Because I mean, we're cut to the chase. You're both pretty successful now at doing what you do. I mean, we won't get into the exact results over this year because we don't want to fall out this early on.
The most successful siblings in Mountainboard history, yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Brind who?
Yeah.
Brian.
Yeah. Brad Mind, I thought it was.
Well, I'll tell you what, we've ripped into two people tonight, and we've got questions from them both.
Well, we knew there'd be one from Matt. He can't help himself, did he? Ben in the under 14s. By the time he left, he was smashing it in the under 14s. I never really got hugely far in the under 18s. But back then the numbers were huge, weren't they? So I would generally, like, racing wise, it was back when we used to qualify just timed runs. We didn't qualify racing and then do the race. Now I'd always sort of qualify in the time in the top 20, and then I'd finish probably, top 15, top 12 in the border cross. But I think I missed quite a lot in 06 with a broken collarbone. 07, did a trip to Borneo, so I missed a few competitions there. I think it was really 09, I moved into the seniors, 18 to 30, and I won the overall. I got first overall in the seniors. So then I was 2010. I was like, right, I've already won the seniors. Let's go pro. So I went pro from 2010 onwards. But I think really 2010 onwards is when my sort of riding, I don't know, I think I grew. Like you said, I was really small as well as Ben until I hit like college age. And then as I grew, I got more confident. And again, actually 2010, I broke my arm. And sort of every time I ever had injury time, it just fueled the fire. And I'd come back I'd just throw myself into it even more. And I really learned a lot in 2010, 2011.
I was going to say, so you've had a few injuries over the years by the sounds of things then.
Yeah.
You've got through unscathed, Ben.
Yeah, he's made up. He's made up for my side as well.
I've had yours. I've had both of them.
The only injury I've had is a couple of years ago in the World Championships of Serbia, the semi-finals. I come to the second last corner and basically dislocated my wrist and fractured my hand.
Whoa!
6 months no on. So.
A racing incident, or was it you just?
Yeah,
that's what happens when you ride into the back of Matt Brind, didn't it?
Yep.
Oh!
Told him to go quicker. He was too slow for my liking.
I got to say that the bottom half of that, I've never ridden it, but the bottom half of that course looks quite. Well, in fact, we were discussing this with Matt. It looks quite hard to overtake.
Yeah, definitely.
It is wild. It is very wild.
Definitely.
No room for errors, really.
Yeah.
Is it literally just like a hold on for the second part of it?
And man, it's like the black run for the last few corners where it's just so fast and turns are so tight that you haven't got time to stop and think for a second.
You're not choosing your line; the line's being chosen for you, sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And I think since he put that bridge in, I don't know if you've seen, after you go over the road, you've got that
back around.
Yeah, before that it was a straight run, and pretty much from it was like a drag strip, and from there on, it was almost if you don't fall off, it's a procession. There's a couple of places where you could overtake, not hugely, but that bridge and toilet bowl bunches everybody back up. So it's like your race separates, and then you hit that bowl and you come back in. It's almost like the race starts again. And so for the rest of that track, which is all really close and really gnarly, you're back wheel to wheel, and it's like. I think the fastest time the one year when we did a proper timing on it was like 1 minute 4. And that's a long time to literally be within a wheel length of 3 other people and concentrate for that long on not hitting each other.
Oh, geez.
And the last half you're talking it goes from 4 or 5 foot wide down to about 2 or 3 foot as you get to the bottom.
Oh, so it funneling you in, does it?
It starts slowly funneling you in, and the second to last corner is just you get the right line or you got no chance.
Yeah,
basically, as me and James have both found out.
I got to say that's one place that the Eebs have, I think, helped me a little bit in terms of concentration for length of time. It's different when we was riding in the Alps, but when you're riding in most of the tracks in the UK, there's sort of sub-minute descents for the most part, unless you go into big like rides. But to have that as a race in a race scenario for a minute, it's a long, old, intense time, and I doubt that your breathing probably goes quite erratic, or just stop breathing, at certain times.
I have to think about it. I remember the first time Biren came down, I think that was 2014 when he came to Serbia. He mentioned it, like when we race at all of our tracks, it's like a sprint, it's like anaerobic. You hold your breath, you get to the bottom, you're all panting, but you can't do that for that length of time. So you actually have to physically think about where you breathe and do that. It's not something we've been used to riding on our end. And so it definitely does change things.
Yeah.
I think the quickest times from the last World Championships in Serbia, I think we were ranging, the top 3 were minute 2 to about minute 4. So you didn't. It was no.
I could pull you up the stats if you like. I have got them to hand.
Have you really?
Yeah.
It was Cody.
I'm not even kidding.
I know the fastest times
30 seconds. They're a scroll away.
I know the fastest times were I think it was Cody, James, and me. And the fastest times.
But I don't know if it's got times on this. It's more to do with stats of how many podium positions and stuff like that Matt sent over the other day. But unfortunately, with Matt, as you know,
and he highlighted his name repeatedly on the spreadsheet for some reason. I'm not sure why.
So where were you?
So while you're finding that, Dan, it's a super fast track, Ben, isn't it?
Yeah,
but
very, very fast.
To be pull a minute 4, minute 5 down it, it's got to be pretty long as well.
I think it's just over a kilometre.
Well, how far?
Yeah, I think Bob has measured it. It's around a kilometre.
Just thinking about it, the minute 4, I'm thinking of before the bridge, because I just pulled up the results from our qualifying results from last time, and
you got there faster than Dan did. Well done, Ben.
No, I haven't got the times. All I've got is the stats in comparisons to appearances against podium positions and things.
No, I think you're right. Go on.
Cody's was top and fastest time, 1 minute 22.1. So it's a 1 minute and 22 seconds. It was the fastest time.
Yeah, I think what I'm thinking of is 2013, the first Worlds we did there. I think Tom D actually had the fastest time at like 1 minute 2, 1 minute 3. So that bridge adds like 20 seconds on.
Yeah. Did
That's
anyone sub-minute it before the addition of the bridge?
No, not while we timed it at the Worlds. They might have other times, but not than we have. But I mean, places like Court Farm, we're always like, 30 seconds? Hart Hills, 27, 28, like double the length of time.
Yeah. It's intense, isn't it?
I mean, we was chatting the other week to Don Baker, and he said about, I think it's Cracker Ridge, which is a 7-mile downhill event that they ran.
Oh, that was fire tracks cutting into woods, wasn't it? And then back up.
Fire track and woods place downhill over 7 miles. He said that Cody was around the 20-minute mark for 7 miles. And like, that is hauling ass for a seriously long time as well.
Have no feeling in your feet by the end.
No legs, no feet, nothing.
Jelly legs.
Yeah, nothing.
I mean, how would you couldn't even prepare for that. You couldn't, like, Black Run Court Farm or even Serbia, you can learn those tracks.
Yeah.
You can learn those tracks, but something like that, fuck, man.
You wouldn't fucking walk back up it, would you?
Well, that's it. If you walk back up it, you might get 1 run a day, 2 runs a day, if you're some superhuman.
Jesus.
I'd love to do a long event.
Yeah.
Well, that's longer than the downhill mountain bikers do, because they're 3 to 4 minutes a run, and they're going at some sort of pace as well. So that's a long run.
Yeah, long run. Sorry, frog in the throat.
Ribbit.
So you've both been. We're going to cut back to your storyline now. You've both been competing in the pros now for UK and European and worldwide, obviously, as we've just discussed with the likes of Serbia and so. When did you both decide? You made that break in 2010.
Yeah, that was my first pro year.
That would have been the year that Sonnie Dibben came up in 2011, and did he follow you and winning? I think he won the seniors in 2011, from what I remember.
Yeah, so maybe just after I finished doing the seniors. Yeah.
So when you went up into the pros,
he went up into the pros straight after that, though, didn't he?
Yeah, but I think I raced him before that because he never lets me forget.
Well, let me stop you. I
should have known, really.
You should have known. To be fair to him, he's sent in 2, and I'm not sure which one is which. So I'm going to play the first. We'll play them both and hope that we get the first. All right. Up full volume.
Wagwan, James. Wagwan, Ben. James, I've got a question for you, mate. What do you think gave you the right to beat me on my 18th birthday in 2009? Which, is just a distant memory for me, and I'm not bitter about it at all.
You know what? I'd do it all over again. I didn't even know about it until he came back from his sabbatical. And I think it was only a couple of years ago. He was just like, I still can't believe you beat me on my birthday. I was like, when was that?
He fucking holds on to things, man.
Fucking loves the crutch, that boy.
I know.
2006, I beat him in one race. I didn't even know I was racing him. That's how insignificant he was. Fucking held on to it.
And he ain't grown an inch since.
No.
Yeah. Can we just go back to what the fuck was he wearing?
more clothes than I'm used to seeing him wearing.
Yeah. In the fucking bell end.
Talking of bell ends.
Where's this coat?
And Sonny and get your helmet out, Sloggs. Not the one that's
Right, so
you show us your lid, and I'll show everyone my lid.
Last weekend, we met Mark Bishop, Sarah, Nath, and Sonnie up at Rampworld.
Yeah.
And Sonnie was wearing a white helmet because he likes to copy me because I always wear a white helmet. So he started copying me by wearing a white helmet, but he went one better by fucking clipping my helmet and his to his rucksack when he fucking left. leaving me without a helmet for the rest of the fucking weekend that I was up there. That was Friday night. I just got there. So I bought a new helmet when I was there, but he sent me this one back after making an appearance at Tramped Towers.
Wow. I like the detail on that one. They put some thought into that.
I think that one's actual size. I think that one's Ted's.
Sonny's is on there, but you can't see it. It's there somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, that little scrape there, I think that's Sonny's.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, that's about right.
Just to show that you're not alone, and I've had this on here for ages now. This was my lid when I got my e-board. I come back. Matt picked it up and dropped it to me when I was visiting my dad, and it wasn't for ages. I got home and I had to take the lid off for some reason. And I was like, "What's that underneath?" And this come up. Every single one.
Is that a cock on a parachute?
Yeah. Who's that one? That's Andy Brind's cock on a parachute there. That's me in the middle of everybody whilst they're playing. It looks like a game of Soggy Biscuit, only I'm the biscuit.
Soggy Dan.
Yeah, Soggy Dan.
That custard creams.
So yeah, moral of the story is, don't leave any of your shit with Tramp because it'll come back covered.
You should have known that before it happened. Let's be fair.
Can't trust them.
So I think we answered Sonny's question there. You feel no remorse whatsoever, is that?
If he reminds me when his birthday is, we'll have a rematch this year. But I'll ride Switch and give him a chance. Yeah.
We're doing the justice of at least hearing his other question.
Yeah, go on.
Oh.
Question for James.
Right.
Another question for James. How does it feel for me to come back after a 7-year layoff and just be a far, far superior rider to you, mate? In every aspect, freestyle, board across, downhill, I'm just superior. And also, another quick question for James. How would you go about setting a cow on fire in a river?
I feel like there's some context by the end of that question.
yeah, I think there might well need to be some context to that if I'm happy to divulge.
Me, Sonnie, and Jolly went to Serbia in October. Last minute. Chip Study literally messaged me. They were doing their competition. I wasn't planning on going just because of monies. And, Ted very kindly paid for the three of us to go over and represent Champ. And so the three of us spent 5 days in Serbia, which can only go exactly how you think it's going to go. And one night, I can't even remember why, we'd had a lot of beer and we were sat there and Jolly Tom was trying to explain to us how all Indians and Muslims burn cows in rivers.
What?
Not really think how do you set fire to a cow that's submersed in water? And he was adamant that that's exactly how it happened. And me and Sonnie just died all night. He was adamant that they burn cows in rivers.
In rivers or on rivers?
No, in. He was adamant it was in the water. Figure that out.
I have a lot of questions. Jolly, if you're listening,
I've got a lot of time for him, but he's fucking weird.
I mean, that just explains the whole trip, really. It doesn't. You can't explain it.
How did you get on out there?
Those
of us that don't know as such.
Yeah. I went out a bit late to the party because it was my son's second birthday. So they flew out on Wednesday. I flew out on Friday, and then competition was supposed to be Saturday, but we had a lot of rain, so it got delayed till Sunday, and everything all dried out. And we just managed to race on Sunday. It was great racing because it was all so close. And then they drew the names out of a hat instead of doing any seeding. They thought, let's just have a fun bit of racing. And as it all happened, from the quarterfinals, we got into the semi-finals, and it ended up with me, Jolly, and Sonnie, all three of us in the same race, with Evgeny from Russia as well. And it was mad close all the way down. I was in first for about half of it. Jolly overtook me halfway down, which I was fine with. I was like, I'll follow you to the end. That's not a problem. And then, as I typically do on the very last corner, I was gaining a bit too much speed, and I couldn't, because they're so close, there was nowhere for me to scrub. So I thought on the last right-hander, all I could do was try and go on the inside of Jolly to stop riding into the back of him. And instead, I just rode into the side of him. Yeah, give myself a nice back end, whiplash crack on the back of the edge. Luckily, I didn't take Jolly out with me, so he made it to the final. Evgeny made it through, and I came out 5th, and Sonnie came 7th, and Jolly took 2nd. So it wasn't horrendous, but stupid mistakes 10 foot from the line.
Jolly done well though, didn't he?
I smashed it, mate. Absolutely smashed it. Yeah.
The kid's on fire at the minute. Whenever I see him ride. I've not heard much from him for a while. I think he's taken a bit of a socials hiatus.
I think he's off Facebook, isn't he?
Yeah. But Jolly, I hope you're doing all right, buddy. Hope to hook up with you soon. But there looked to be some other good little bits of free ride come out of that trip from what I saw there. Are you all healed up?
Yeah. What, hitting my face on the floor? Yeah. That was interesting. Yeah, there's a big fortress in the middle of Sad, right on the river, and the hostel we stay in is just off it. And there's all sorts of lines in there, like street lines, free ride lines, all just like built into this fortress. So we literally twice we just rocked up with a couple of 4-packs of beer in our boards, and like, right, let's just go see what we can find. And there's this one really good run that Arno found initially. He said a few years ago, really steep bank. I didn't think it was. There was quite a steep and sharp transition at the bottom. I didn't think it was doable, but Arno pushed us into it, sure, and it was. So we did it, and then there was a nice little road gap, and so Sonnie wanted some footage, so he got me to do it a few times from different angles. And on the last time, jumping in the road gap, as I ollie, my front foot binding just snaps full speed, and so I end up just flying forwards with one foot not attached to the board.
Oh no!
Oh. Painful.
It could have been ankles, but instead I saved the leg and just ended up, hitting in my face directly on the floor.
Why go for the ankles when you can smash up the face? Eh?
The looks of some of the people around was an absolute picture as well, because we were like, right, that'll end the session, but we'll go finish our beers at the top, enjoy the sunset, and there's the three of us walking with our boards and beer, and there's loads of tourists all at the top of this fortress, and my face is just like pissing blood. They just stared at me like, what's happened to you?
Well, it's a shame you didn't make the finals. Maybe. I mean, Ben, you're still riding with Tramper?
Yeah, don't get to ride as much anymore since it's a bit further away from me, but I try and make it up as much as possible to try and get some riding in.
Where are you living at the moment?
Right down south, Portsmouth. So right down bottom of Hampshire. It's literally just me down here, really. So there's not really anyone close other than when Sonnie's in Bournemouth. Not Bournemouth, Basingstoke.
Well, this is most exciting news for the rest of the pro division. Then, if you're not riding regularly and
yeah, 2 or 3 times a year.
Either that or you're just that much above the rest now. You don't need to put the practice in.
Well, got the speed, but no tricks.
No tricks. Well, I don't know, that picture I put up of you, the pair of yous flipping and stuff. you've still got the pair. What are your go-to tricks at the moment? I assume you're still popping out huge front flips and the likes. I remember seeing last time I see you in action with Bugs, just messing around. I think it was.
Yeah, front flips have become my sort of go-to. You can do them anywhere: big jump, small jump, no jump. You know, they're kind
cheese
of
wedge.
Yeah. I did it off a cheese wedge at Bugs, like literally this tall. So yeah, they are kind of a go-to of mine.
Have you done the big drop? Front flip the big drop yet?
Not off the drop, no.
Simon Andrews.
No, I've done some grabs off there, but I want to do a front side 3 off the big drop. That was my plan before winter hit, but I didn't get to it. But this year when it all dries up,
it's like front 3s and 7s, and it's go-tos. No.
Front 3s and 7s. What about you, Ben? What are your?
I tend to stick with the front flips, front side 3s. I do some more back 7s and back walk 5s. But I need to.
Is there a reason why you prefer bigger spins backside to it?
It's spotting the landing and trying to get the momentum to take the spin. I find it a lot easier than trying to hit front side.
When you're spotting, you've got that last 180 is always visible.
Yeah, whereas I struggle to backside. I've always got used to seeing the angle as I take off, whereas front side not so much. So I tend to drop and then come off axis as I come to land.
Right.
I haven't quite got the hang of it for bigger spins, but for backside, I've definitely got the bit more hang of it keeping it flat.
And usually when you spin big backside spins, most people, like when I've done backside 7s, I like go into the spin and I just lock in until I know I'm in the right sort of place to open up. Whereas Ben, I've noticed when he does it almost like a dancer. He spots the landing when he gets to it. So he does a 3 and you see him like stare at landing, and then he goes again. And when he did 10, his head almost did it 3 times. So you like spot to figure out where you are. Yeah. I can't do it, but it seems to help you because your 7s are on lock.
Yeah, it's just spot the landing every time I spin, and it keeps me flat basically.
Maybe it was the classic ballet training you had for.
Yeah, I did ballet growing up as a kid.
Yeah, that's it. In that gap when I was mountainboarding and he wasn't yet, you did ballet.
He was in Russia.
I have some head cam footage. I think it's on my Facebook of me doing 7s over the jumps at Court Farm. And you can sort of see that where I'm spotting as I'm coming around. So
those little momentary stalls.
Yeah, you like sort of take off, look at the lip, then look at the landing, then come around, look at the landing again. And
I want to see that now. I'm interested.
I have to find it.
Obviously, the Winter Olympics are on at the moment, and some of those lads are chucking like 16, 20s off of. And they've been talking about that exact thing. You know, they're in the same way as I suppose when you're doing. Not that I do double flips, but you know, you've got that sky dark. They're essentially counting the amounts of flashes. Yeah.
As they do corks, you can see them going sky, spot the floor, go up, spot the floor. They keep doing it as they come around. So,
do you think you guys will ever sort of? I mean, you're old enough now to. I hate to say it, but to probably be past the pushing too hard. But you guys, I assume everybody still wants to progress, no matter what their age are. You know, what do you guys see as your progression? Where do you?
For me, I think in terms of competitions, I'm a very competitive person. So I always want to do the best I can do. But I think over the 15, 16 years I've been, since my first competition, I've proved myself enough times that I don't have that desire to be the number one, but I always want to better myself, if that makes sense, whether that's freestyle or, to be fair, with border cross, it's just proven I can still do it, but because there's only so far and so fast. But freestyle, I just want to keep learning new stuff and new tricks. It doesn't have to be bigger and better, just newer. Like my favorite for the last 18 months really has been backside fives, which I've never really done before, and since I've learned them, they're now my favourite. I've done a double to Matt's airbag that I'd like to put to dirt if I can get on the right jump. But yeah, apart from that, I just like learning new stuff rather than necessarily being the bigger and the betters.
Keep it fresh for yourself.
Yeah, there's always so many tricks and so many variations. And again, over the years, there's so many tricks that I used to do that you naturally sort of forget or stop doing, and you almost have to relearn. Recently, I learned switch backside fives again, which was one of my first big difficult tricks. And again, I think about 2011 when I started doing really well in freestyle, it's because I made the conscious effort. I've always been pretty good at switch because I longboard goofy, but I mountainboard regular. But every time I learn a new,
Whoa, do you?
Is that weird?
I skateboard and I longboard goofy, but I mountainboard and snowboard regular. I'm not the only one. Kine and Goggin was the same. Nige de Grey from Bristol, he's the same. And Chris Horsley from Hales Super Bowl, he's the same, but the other way around. So
that's fucking. So like with the longboard, so you used to go and switch at fucking speed.
Yeah. So I used to do a lot of longboarding, and I think the weirdest thing is when I'm on a mountain board now, I've got to the point that it's regular and goofy. If I'm dropping in, it doesn't necessarily feel like switch. I'm just like, right, this one's goofy. But if I'm on a longboard and I go regular, man, does it feel weird. Like it's like just feels so unnatural.
I got to that stage of natural both ways with snowboarding.
Yeah.
That it definitely paid dividends on mountainboarding, but I mean, it's certainly something that I've probably lost massively over the time, because it's always something that you need to keep your eye in, isn't it?
Yeah. So you just got to keep doing it, and it's half of it's in your head. If you think, instead of thinking about it as switch, just think about it as the other way around, just as goofy. So I made the effort to learn all the tricks I could do regular, also in goofy, and that helps freshen it up and learn new tricks as well. Because if you're trying to think of a new trick, just try and do it in switch.
I have a section of, on my commute, I have a section of road that is like a private road with a few speed bumps along it. It's about 3/4 of a mile long, and it's really super smooth. All the kids go down there on the Saturdays and Sundays and stuff, on there, learn to ride bikes and stuff like that. But obviously I go there before and after the busy times from work. And on the first one, I'll pop it into switch and then ride the whole thing in switch.
Yeah.
And then on the last one, pop back out again, just so that I make sure I devote a certain proportion of my time purely to riding switch, so that like you say, it's just keeping your eye in.
I don't know if you remember. We used to do switch days, didn't we?
Yeah, I used to be able to do the whole with the black run and switch.
Nice.
Oh, that's fucking heroic. That is.
Yeah, and OTG's one as well, like clearing stuff to switch.
Are you which were you hitting the first big right hander? You're hitting that hillside or toe side then?
Hillside.
I
was hitting it in switch. I was hillside full, all top to bottom.
Ah.
And you could also do, in my opinion, one of the hardest tricks ever, which was the switch palm air.
Yeah, I still about to do that today. But
so backwards.
It is a weird one. It is a weird one.
Yeah, it's something it's hard to retrain your brain to get the weight transfer, but like I say, we used to do it once a week.
Did you ever have you ever tried doing the 180 into the switch palm?
Yeah, something I was doing last year.
Make it feel any better, or?
It's difficult because last year I was doing them with James, and the only problem is if you get the palm air completely wrong, you over rotate, land backside, and then you're on your back.
Going over
it's not fun at all.
Yeah, I've done the switch 180 into a regular palm air, but you were doing 180 into switch palm air, which I think is definitely harder.
Yeah, and I was just about getting it tweaked as well, but it was hard to not over rotate it at height.
And do you guys, like, obviously, I don't know whether it was pre or after, do you guys get to ride with the other Brind? Do you get to ride with them guys that much?
The Brat Mind.
Surprisingly, I think since COVID, I actually rode more with Matt than sort of before, because we're at opposite ends of the country. They're in Essex. Well, it's not as bad for you, Ben, now in Portsmouth, but for Hereford, it's a 4-hour run on a good run over to Essex. But during lockdown, when Bugs was shut over summer, there wasn't much riding or stuff going on. In those brief bits where restrictions weren't horrendous and you could get 6 at a time, I was making the effort and I was driving 4 hours, leaving super early, getting to Brindy's compound, doing a 4-day riding, and then driving 4 hours home just because I was desperate for a fix, just to get it in.
So only about 2 hours to 2.5 for me. So
you got to make a really good spot to go then.
Yeah. At least you got the airbag at Bugs now, so I'm assuming that's closer for you, James. But is that much closer? Probably about 2.5 same amount of time to Brindy's compound for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 2.5 hours still to the Bugs from me. Back when Hair Down was open, that was a lot closer. And if Ride the Hill was still around, that'd be a lot closer as well. But yeah,
you have to get out the London crew as such.
Was it Miles Hillier and that this side, didn't they? But
yeah, Miles
I'm
Hillier.
sure.
Cox is
there as well.
Yeah, he's in London now, I think, but still getting out. And I think Ollie Morrison is there. Dan Wilson's Buckinghamshire, but they seem to all be. And Simon Harwood, I think, is the other.
Yeah,
I don't know where he is, but he seems to be organising some of these bits. But yeah, get out with them boys.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, this year I'm aiming to try and get to Bugs a lot more than I have done previous years, because it's not a terrible drive. It's just if the weather's not great, it's a bit of a long drive to then not get any riding if it goes bad. So.
I'm looking forward to getting a few weekends in at Bugs as well this year, because it's not too far from us.
No, I'm lucky. It's literally a 40-minute drive.
I think it's about 2 for us, but we're doing overnighter for the weekend. When's it open? Do we know a date for that yet?
No, to be fair, Bugs plays it by ear, which is probably the best way. Court Farm was very strict. It was always first weekend of April they'd open, but Bugs just plays it by the weather. So I think last year was a bit later than normal because we had a sort of really wet spring, so I thought he was like late April, early May. But if the weather brightens up, he's already been cutting the grass, and it's been fingers crossed, it's been a drier winter than some have been. So he'll just open when it looks like it's feasible. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can't wait. Feels like everybody needs to make the effort this year to really as if the last 2 centres didn't need support. Now we're down to the last one. It's like fucking save the Tigers.
He's still got. He's still got the
centres. My hips matter.
Yeah, I mean, Court Farm growing up was obviously my local because it was 3 miles away. So I never growing up. We didn't hit Bugs that often, even though it's 40 minutes. It's so close. Court Farm was 5 minutes, so we were always there. But since Court Farm closed, then I was working restaurants, working every weekend, so I couldn't get to Bugs. But since I've changed jobs, last season especially, I was at Bugs. I think I did like 7 weekends on the trot we did at Bugs. And he's still buzzing, and he still wants to improve stuff. He still wants to change stuff. You know, he got the airbag from Matt that Matt kindly sold to him, and he still wants to change things, which I think is
they were digging all through the summer.
Yeah, man. The bikers up there as well are putting a lot of effort in, and so I feel like you say with the last one, if we all keep giving him the love, and fingers crossed, hopefully Hart Hill's quarter pipe's going to end up there as well. Nina's in touch with the Hales crew to try and salvage that quarter pipe as well. Yeah,
I hope so. I do hope so. Either that or it needs to go to Poland because they haven't got
it might be easier to get it to Gloucester than Poland.
Yeah, a little bit.
I love David. I loved his little interview with you guys. And that place, honestly, David's done such a good job on those jumps. They are so much fun.
Have you been out there? Is that Mosquito Park? Is that what?
Yeah. So I went out from sort of 2012 onwards, I've done, I think, almost all of the worlds. The only one I missed was Germany. I had 2 slip discs, so I missed the season. But yeah, 2012, I got invited out to Serbia for the first time. I was the first UK rider to go out. They messaged me on Facebook. I went out when it was the European Championships. Mm-hmm. So they paid for me to go out. I went out there, and well, we all know what it's like. Loved every minute of it. Weirdly, actually, before we went, because I hadn't heard anything about Serbian mountainboarding before we went. But they messaged me on Facebook, said, we'll pay if you want to come around. So me and Tom D sat at Court Farmer with YouTube. We just searched Serbia mountainboarding. Let's see what happens. And we saw some follow cam footage of somebody on a bike following him down the track. And genuinely, it looked so tame and so slow. Tom was like, mate, you're going to smash it. Like, well easy. I got there and I was like, this is not what I thought it was going to be whatsoever. But yeah, so after that, 2013, 2014 went there for the Worlds, and then I did Compiègne, Slovenia, and then 2019 I did Poland and Serbia, because they did the freestyle at Poland and the race in Serbia. And genuinely, I think his jump setup it's in the top 3 definitely out of all jumps that I've hit.
Oh, excellent. Well, they seem a decent enough size.
Yeah. I mean, you can trick.
But not so massively intimidating.
Yeah, definitely. The second and the third, everybody was, all the pros were, I think we worked out everybody from 7th place and up were doing 7s on those jumps, and almost both of them. Brindy actually did a run where he did a 7 on all of them, all 3 of them. So I think my best run, the first one I did a 540, then a switch 540, and then a 720. So the first one was, ideal for 3s, 5s, flips. But Brindy managed to hack an impressively quick frontside 7, then followed it up with a backside 7. And I think he wanted to go for a double, but I think he sketched a little bit on a backside 7. So as you do, decided I'll do a safety frontside 7 instead of a double backflip.
As you do.
But yeah, to have 3 jumps.
I've got to say that once it gets past 540, I'm lost.
Yeah.
Like it starts to become blurred. I lose the ability to count it, or I don't lose the ability, but I've got to sit there and be like, I can watch it analytically, but just off the cuff. I don't know how commentators do it. I mean, no disrespecting Steve, but his commentating was amazing. But he could never have commentated a freestyle.
Oh, that leg span a lot. I think it was a testament to David to have 3 jumps like that you could do 3 big tricks on and not have to compromise for speed. Like the Hart Hill 3 jumps are great, but if you do a big trick on the second one, you just can't do a big trick on the third. You've got to sort of work your run out based on the speed that's available. But his 3, you could do whatever best tricks you want without compromise, which is, you don't get very often.
Nice. And so what are your plans then for this this coming year then? You said that you want to get on to ride bugs a bit more this year, the pair of you. We already know now that our mine and Sloggs' wives' birthday weekend. Are you guys coming along to celebrate with us?
Yeah. I've always been a fan of your wife's birthday.
But yeah, I'm assuming you're both going to be present for that.
Ben's not nodding now.
I'm sure there are other meetups in the line. I mean, Brindy's birthday, I'm assuming you guys are going to be there. I'm certainly trying to make it along for that one. But you guys got any plans for international rides this year? Now COVID is starting to make things a little bit more possible? Do you reckon you're going to make it out to Oz? Or
I would love to make it out to Oz, but it's just financials. We've got baby number 2 due in 9 weeks' time.
Oh, congratulations!
9 weeks, is it?
Yeah, man. Yeah, 9 weeks' time.
Yeah, that's come around quick, isn't it?
Yeah, really quick, really quick. But I mean, even without baby number 2, it's a lot of money, and over to Oz. Like, I'd absolutely love to go, but it's just not feasible, really.
It's
so.
a huge ask.
A long time.
Yeah. And when we go, like, I've been very fortunate in the fact that Lars been nice enough that she doesn't mind me disappearing, and like, even though the first time she's been to Serbia with me and Slovenia and all sorts, and she was happy to tag along around Europe, and she was having a great time as well. But just during her pregnancy with Toby, I buggered off to Poland and Serbia without her. And she let me, but I think Australia's pushing that a bit far.
The words are taking the piss.
Royally taking the piss. Yeah.
And you can't. It's not somewhere you can go for just a week, is it?
No.
Well, this is exactly it. I was looking into it with some serious thought of trying to get the whole family out there, but by the time you do, like where we are in Cornwall, just even to get to, I suppose Bristol might do flights with connections, but we'd have to go to like Heathrow or Gatwick or something like that. That's a day's journey in itself, and then you've got to do the flight. And so to get just a week on the ground, we'd have had to have taken like 2.5 weeks off of work to be able to do it. And like, you go all the way to Australia with the family for 1 week. It's like, and obviously it's going to cost.
It's 4 days of them in a fucking field.
Yeah. So I mean, so basically, me taking the family was written off. But maybe I might go by myself.
I mean, what's it? A 20-hour? Was it an 18-hour flight?
Because they're getting a divorce, Dad.
Can I? I'm just going up to Nottingham for the weekend.
Comes back 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
This is how long we don't watch these.
Yeah, well, we say that. I don't know. She says she might have done. Who knows? At some point in line, I'll be in trouble, and I won't know why, and it's because she'll have watched one of these episodes. But Ben, are you a single man, family man? What's the deal with your private life? Are you going to Australia? Are you
coming on to him?
Yeah.
Hey, man.
That's why he's divorcing the wife, isn't it?
That's it, isn't it? A certain amount of drinks and a certain amount of time at night. I could be anybody's.
Jeez. Nah, not just work and do my own thing, basically. Like, I'm into my gaming and everything, but other than that, it's just for myself, really.
So technically, you've got nothing holding you down. You could go to Australia.
Yeah, if I had the money and the holiday, I would. But
I mean, based on recent results, you'd probably be the more successful, right?
It's been a pleasure. I'll see you later.
Is it that time in the evening? Is it? Are we going there?
Yeah. Well, in all fairness, he did beat me in the world technically. So I had him in the UK. He had me in the worlds.
What's the like me and my brother are real competitive when we find something to be competitive about. We're pretty different in many ways, so we don't have the love of mountainboarding or anything like that in the same way you guys do. But what's the feeling when you make it to, say, like the final? I'm not gonna stall on this, and we're not gonna rub anything in, or I'm not gonna anymore. Sloggs, it's up to you. But what's the feeling like when because you both know your strengths, your weaknesses of each other. You know that either of you could win on any given day, really. Because let's be honest, I assume that outside of competition, if you go to a track together or whatever, it could be anyone's race on any day. Let's be honest about that. But what's that feeling like when you get strapped in for a race that might mean something like the UK champs or the Europeans or the worlds, and you get drawn up against each other? I mean, do you like, right? Does it get like Formula One? Like, right, I'll go this. I'll take first this time. You take second. Then we're flip. Just make sure we block these fuckers out. Is it?
We both ride with our elbows out like that.
Yeah.
I'll take outside lanes and both just sandwich the fuck.
No, that's him and Tom D. That is.
I knew you'd call that. Right. I got to explain this one. This team tactics, I think I've only ever come into it once. It was the final at Bugs, I think must have been 2016, 2015, somewhere around there. And the final was me, Tom D, Matt Brind, and Beeren. And as you all know, gate choice on that, especially on that track, meant everything when that first corner. I had first gate choice, and Tom D had second gate choice, and Brindy had third gate choice. And I was playing it through in my head before the final, and I was like, right, if I take prime gate 2, Tom D's going to take prime gate 3, and Brindy is going to take gate number 1, and he'll be on my inside for the first corner, which I don't want. So I spoke to Tom D beforehand. I said, look, I'm going to metaphorically take one for the team, and I'm going to take lane 1. You can have prime gate 2. Brindy will only be left with gate 3. And as long as we both get a good start, we can just push him wide on the first corner. And we were very lucky that Beeren also had a great start, and he fucking sandwiched Brindy, and Brindy ended up 4th. So and actually that result got us a tied overall board across for the year, because the only result in which Brindy couldn't get the board across title is if I won and he came 4th, and that's exactly what happened. Yeah, and he knew as soon as he was like, right, James, what gate do you want? And I was like, gate 1. He was like,
He's like,
he knew it.
It's the games you got to play.
When it came to us too, it was literally a case of keep it clean but fight it out fairly. Like, just don't take each other out.
Yeah, exactly. I can categorically say I have never taken it easy on him, but the goal is always not to wipe each other out. Like, that's if I took him out, I'd feel awful. But also on the same front, if I fell over and he won, I think it's a hollow victory. You know what I mean? If we can, if we can have a clean race like we did at Hale, and he beat me fair and damn square, then he deserves it. You know what I mean? And the same way around. So
last year was like nothing but hectic in our final. That step up.
Yeah.
Both of us going sideways down the landing.
Nearly wiped each other out, but didn't. So.
Oh man, it was some good racing.
We'll stick a footage up of the final there.
It was it was a really good final. But no, like, I think for the majority of our sort of mountainboard career, as you'd call it, I've had the edge purely, I think, just because of age, because I've been that little bit older, that little bit bigger, and that little bit more experienced. But I think now we've come to the precipice where my 6 years older isn't a good thing anymore.
It comes to us all.
The truth.
We've got the fucking young guns coming through.
Yeah, and I put some winter weight on as well beforehand. So.
That helps.
That was lockdown weight. That was
extra couple stone beforehand, sorting you right out.
Weirdly though, for a good few years though, I think I said to you as a joke for many, many years, if you ever actually beat me in a border cross, I'll retire, because it always seemed to be when we were getting bigger that I was better at border cross and you seemed to be doing better at freestyle. The first time you ever beat me head to head was when we did that Bristol event for Mitsubishi. Yeah. And we did a freestyle competition that Brindy set up for Mitsubishi, and there was 8 of us. It was me, Ben, Matt and Andy, Antoine and Pierre from France, and then Aidan Beamish, and I think
Mark Adams.
Yeah. And Brindy did like a 2v2 league, so they drew names out of a hat and you fought each other, and the judges would choose who did better based on 5 different things, like amplitude and all that sort of thing. And as the hat would so be, me and Ben ended up against each other, and Matt and Andy also ended up against each other, but you beat me then in the freestyle, and I was like, here we go, he's just going to carry on beating me in the freestyle, but then it's done a reverse, and now you're better than me at racing.
Yeah, it's come down just to handling pressure now.
What about your downhill times this year?
Up until last year, it didn't really come to much, but last year I managed to keep it sort of in line with the speed as well. And it's like I think up until last year, I didn't really have a podium when it comes to downhill, but I won last year's one.
So what do you think? What do you think then has been this turning point in your downhill prowess then over the last couple of years? What's made it? I mean, we joke about a couple of extra pounds. I mean, those things can make a difference. But
I think it was that, and just I can never. I'd be fast, but I can never keep it together partway down the hill. So it'd be at some point I'd be too quick for my own good, and then I didn't know when to hold back. Basically, I try and push too hard, and then I'd probably throw myself out the corner because
just balls out rather than tactical.
There's no discipline there whatsoever. I just went as fast as possible, but then didn't know when to actually pull back and then go back again.
Carried away, and I think the same could be said for your freestyle as well. Like when you're in a freestyle jam where best 3 runs count, I think one thing that me and Brindy have always been very good at is planning 3, like what you'd call 75% runs, 3 runs of good enough tricks that you're going to land. And then once they're in the bank, then you go crazy and you can only push those scores up. Whereas Ben he'd start like that. He'd be like, yeah, I'll do 1 run and then I'll do my 2nd run. And by the 3rd run, somebody's done some sick trick and he gets carried away. And the next thing you know, he's trying 1080s. It's just it gets well carried away.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think last year's downhill managed to get that slight pullback. I realised where I needed to sort of hold back a bit more, and it just sort of come together a little bit nicer. So I know Brindy will say it's because he wasn't there, but
well, maybe it's about time we give the guy some airtime. So I shall pass the mic over to our good friend Matt. Oh, it's quite a long one. It's almost a minute. This.
He does like to talk though, doesn't he? Come on.
Hello, the Dirt, and hello to the Dublins. I got questions for both of you tonight. J-Dub, don't worry, I'm not going there. Not going with the obvious. Either the lovely ladies of the Dirt have covered it already, I'm sure, or one of the other listeners is going to ask that exact question. I'm not going for the obvious. So my first question for both of you, J-Dub and B-Dub, is what's your most proud moment in mountainboarding? I mean, Ben, I'm sure it's going to be beating James at the UK Championships 2021. Oh, sorry. I said I wasn't going to go there. Sorry. Yeah, what's your most proud moment in mountainboarding? And the second question is purely because I'm really hungry right now. If you're going to make your perfect sandwich, what's in there? But all the really fine details. What's the bread? What butter are you using? What's the ingredients? What's salt? Fill my stomach for me. Cheers, boys. Catch you soon.
God bless him.
Thinking about his stomach more than boarding.
So what's your most proud moment? And then give us your sandwich and sauce.
Ben, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll give it a go. I think other than the 1080, I'd say how well I was doing up in the Worlds until how well I qualified in the Worlds a couple of years ago, and then up until the semi-finals, I was doing it came together a lot better. But so it'd be between Serbia and the 1080 to be fair. Sandwiches, I'm not sure because I'm a bit of a Subway man. So
Subway. What do you go for? Are you on a teriyaki chicken? You on a tuna melt? What? Yeah, steak and cheese.
I go for the full BMT, so it's basically it's like ham, pepperoni, salami, but I'm against all vegetables, so it's literally just meat and cheese and then leave it there. No sauce, no vegetables.
So it's just meat and cheese, isn't it?
Yeah, meat and cheese, and that's it. I'm against vegetables. I'm very boring. But other than that, yeah, I wouldn't know what to go with. So.
What about you then, James? What's your proudest moment? And does it relate to one of those trophies and things on your shelves behind?
Yeah, probably does. There's two I'd have to choose between. It's either 2018 when I got the overall pro first for the first time, the UK one, or actually the first time I went to Serbia in 2012 when they invited me out. It was crazy because I didn't know, the only person I knew when me and Lar got out there was Nicky Giss. He's the only one I'd met before. And so the whole event, every time, because it was just race, well, there was racing and freestyle afterwards, but the racing, because I didn't know anybody was, every time we got on the gate, I could have been with a beginner or I could have been with the best person there and I had no idea. So the racing was wild, but I won the racing and I won the freestyle, and it was just such a big buzz. It's my first time ever abroad, and I won everything. That is one of my fondest memories is that weekend. So I'll probably go for that one. And yeah, those trophies are, I think, up on the top.
Nice.
Yeah.
Happy days.
And then actually, yeah, my sandwich, I shook my head because I always have a BMT at Subway.
Do you have vegetables though?
Yes, I do. I'm a bit more cultured than that boy over there.
He's a good boy and has his green.
Yeah, and I have it on wheat actually. I like a bit of wheat.
Ooh.
Yeah, cheese and toasted BMT, and then lettuce, cucumber, onion, and then loads of jalapenos, but no sauce because I'm saucy enough.
I love a jalapeno, but fuck me, I get the hiccups. Yeah, I get the hiccups. Like anything that's hot, I can eat it, but those first few mouthfuls, it don't matter how hot it is. I guaranteed I get the hiccups.
Amazing. I love
weird things.
Can't be spice.
Gents, we're coming up to around just shy of an hour and a half here. I'm looking at you, Sloggs. Have you got a 10 set prepared for us tonight? Or
I certainly have.
you? Is it a specific Brothers special?
A little bit, yeah. But nothing too different.
You just say the specific brothers are special. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I wouldn't deny that either.
Right, don't think about it too much. Reg or goof? James, whatever.
We're doing it each. We're taking turns.
Yeah. We'll do one question. You answer it. Yeah, so you go first, James, because you're top of my screen, and then Ben goes after. Is that all right?
Yeah,
right, Reg or goof?
Depends what board, but regular or a mountainboard.
We'll go Mountainboard.
Regular.
Yeah, regular.
Park or free ride?
Park.
Yeah, I'll go park as well.
Border cross or freestyle?
Depends on the
Depends who you're racing.
Yeah. On a normal day's riding, freestyle. If it's a competition, I'd probably choose border cross.
It's just more competitive. It's got that.
Yeah, that buzz.
Yeah.
I'd generally, I'd go competition on border cross just because of the fact of the 4-man, and then I think personally I like going quick down a track and just having it a bit more wild, so I'd go for a track on border cross. So,
Right, that rings in quite well to best border cross track.
It's got to be, if it was past tense, then it's the Black Run, and current tense, it's got to be Serbia.
yeah, that's a difficult one because like if you're in past tense, it could be between Black Run and actually hair downs. I personally loved hair downs track.
Gnarly as fuck, wasn't it?
It was amazing. But yeah, nowadays it'd be down to Serbia.
Yeah.
I'd still like to ride to Slovenia. I've heard such good things about that place.
Oh man, that track is amazing. You can ride the whole thing without having to pump any features and still clear, jump all the doubles and have a right laugh on the way down without having to pump. We were doing fun runs where we're doing threes and jumping doubles and stuff like that without having to try. And yet, if you want to put the hammer down, you can absolutely fly. It was really fun.
I hope I get to ride there.
Yeah.
Oh, as well.
I was glad I didn't get to go.
Sloggs?
Me?
Yeah.
Flip or spin?
Love a flip. Gotta love a flip. Big slow flips, front or back.
Yeah, for just cruising, then like I'd go for the big front flips, the bugs, that big jump.
Yeah.
Favorite centre, past or present? And that could be UK or Europe, or you could choose.
Can I have a third one? Can I have past, present, and imaginary?
Of course you fucking can.
Past has got to be Court Farm. Present, I would go with Compiègne, and imaginary would have Serbia's track right next to David from Poland's jumps.
Oh, that's that. Do you know what? That's a good possible addition to the 10 set there, James.
Yeah.
I like that.
Pick and mix.
Always.
Pick and mix your own centre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A slope style setup, a border cross setup. You could even put a downhill in there.
Yeah.
Just because James likes to be different.
I like it though.
I might have to persuade Paul to take that forward.
I'm thinking of my best centre now. Fuck the question.
Yeah. No, it says that off. Well, what are our answers? That's it.
Right. What's...
Oh, look, Ben's not done his.
That's right.
Oh yeah, sorry Ben. I got excited then.
I don't know. Past, it's a mixture between hair downs because I spent so much time there, and Court Farms. Present, I wouldn't know because again, I'd love Serbia's track, but and then for a mixture, it could be. I wouldn't know unless I thought about it because there's too many tracks and jumps and like I never got to hit Swanberg's big jumps, so like it could have been them put in as well. So I'm not sure. Leave it at that.
Yeah.
Get back to us on that when we never think about it, because I'm thinking about it as well. Right. Favourite board you ever owned? Favourite setup?
I've had so many. I really have. Half of them are behind me. Lara and Phil de Havilland Hall turned them into trophy shells. But I think it's got to be my collab. It's got to be. I've recently, in the last couple of months, I've got David's Hero Pro model, but I've rode it like 3 times. I haven't had a chance to fully get used to it. But yeah, the collab for me was my favourite.
Come on, make a bloody Gen 2.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, he needs to.
Honestly, I would love it. The only reason I decided to try a different one is because there's a few like pressure cracks coming along the bottom. And I had a lot of ATV shop vouchers from the competition. I thought, like, while I can play a David Pro model for 100 quid instead of 250, it was worth it.
Yeah. I need one of them as well at this point. So, because, like, it depends on what setup we're going with. Because if I go mountain boards, then it's my current Jeremy. But if I go park, then I go for my little stupid mountain skate setup.
Your mountain skate setup.
Yeah, mountain board deck and bindings with a longboard, wheels and trucks.
Right.
For a park like a ramp world, it absolutely flies.
So light and so fast. I'll send you a video from when we were there a couple of years ago. Him flying over a rhythm section of Ramp World on that right hand side, and like because you've got longboard wheels on there, and the thing weighs nothing, just carries its speed forever. It's crazy. You can't turn. You can't turn.
Not massively well at all. But for jumps and spins, it's like that resi jump at Ramp World. I was absolutely. It was just like I ended up landing flat most of the time because it was just there's no weight to it.
Yeah.
So
nice. What leaf are you on? Is it the 9.5? Is it 95?
Yeah, the 95, but the purple leaf.
A little nobules around the heels and the toes. Nice shape that one.
The purple leaf.
You've had a solid leaf for ages. I think I've toured almost all the boards. I started on a Scud 35. Then I had an MBS Core 8. Then I had 2 of the white Jeremy leafs. Then I had a Tom Kirkman Pro 100 with the hands on it. Then when I joined the Champa team, I was on Champa Holy Pro for about 5 or 6 years. Then the collab, and now a hero. So I've been through.
And your silly SK, the fun SKB as well for it.
Oh, the RKB.
RKB, that's it. Why am I saying SKB?
I rode that for about a month.
That was really good fun.
I rode that for a month.
I got sent. There was a few of us. I think Reese Criddy got sent one as well, and maybe Robbie Kinsey. But anyway, I just got a message online by this company, RKB. I think they're kiteboard brands, and they were briefly trying to get into the mountainboard world. And they said, "Would you be interested in riding our board? We'll send you one for free." And they sent it. It was very similar size to the Pro 100, but ludicrously light. Like you could barely feed it on your feet. And so much so that I ended up bottoming out quite often after a month. But they sent me this board, and then there was no follow-up at all. Like I never heard from them again. That was it.
That's all right gig, though, isn't it?
Yeah. It was a good laugh for a month, and then I rode my Pro 100 again.
I remember messing about in the cream teas at Bugs with it and doing that long jump competition with it, and it just, because there was no weight to it, it just flew.
Yeah, random. So I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was
Send us a
interesting.
picture of that one. We'll flash it up.
Yeah, I got one of the long jump on.
Yeah, it was like blue. It was like blue and white, like design of it. Yeah, real weird.
Yeah, the more you can help us out with any photos of these, I
can show you some of the old decks here. So I don't think I'm very good at this, but that is my first ever skateboard on the top here.
Yeah.
That is a deck made by Frida Curl for my wedding that's never been ridden. It's got our wedding photos on.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
That is the Scrub Scooter 35, the green one with the star on the middle.
Yeah.
And then the white Jeremy Leaf.
Very nice.
See where the grip tape was. It's been literally bleached by the sun. It's like white and yellow. And then the Core 8 at the bottom.
Those.
Yeah.
That's upcycling, they call that, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, it was invented. They were. I couldn't bear to get rid of them all. And they were just in a cupboard, and so Lar was very creative and turned them into some trophy shelves. So they weren't just taking room up in the cupboard.
Board porn, as I like to call it.
Yeah.
Right. Next question: front side or back side?
That's so difficult. I do traditionally always front side, but my current favourite trick is a backside 5. So yeah, I'll say backside now. I'm converted.
If it's a big jump like we're clearing Bugs' jumps with a 3, I'd go front side. But if it's a big spin like with the 7s, I'd go backside, just for stability, basically. So.
Right.
Yeah.
That really wasn't an answer, was it?
Yeah, do, man.
A bit of both, like.
Yeah, some of the retards we have on.
Every week.
I'm the biggest one.
Right. 2 questions left.
Yeah.
Next one. Matt or Andy?
Yeah, I don't blame you on this one. I don't blame you.
In what context, Sloggs?
Yeah.
Huh?
In
Whichever
what context?
Riding, sexually? Yeah, I'm easy.
Which one's the better cook?
All right. So yeah, sexually, I shared a bedroom with Andy in Poland, and there is a night that he would not want repeating. So you can say you can save that for if when he comes on with you. You can keep it in your back pocket. But yeah, when it comes to riding, Matt's still got the edge, and as much grief as we give him, you can't. To be honest, I don't think I'd be as good as I am if I hadn't spent so many years trying to beat him. I mean, let's be fair, he's beaten me more times than I've beaten him, but at least I have beaten him sometimes. So yeah. I'll give him that much for literally those 30 seconds, and then we'll never repeat it again.
We've got lots of love for him. We give him fuck, but we give him fuck for the reason. For that
He
reason.
loves it. He loves it.
Personally, I'd go just Andy, just because pure sympathy for him for the amount of times I've took him out in racing and knocked him out. It's Matt would like to bring it up that I had a knack for doing that, but I do feel some sympathy for him.
Don't sympathise too much. You knocked me out at Eeb-it. the final fucking corner. Well, it wasn't even a corner. It's traditionally when riding bugs, I'm pretty right in thinking that the finish line of the downhill was always on that last table. And then everybody rode over the last table, and then you've got that little right-hander berm thing, haven't you? That everybody just rides straight off and then goes and throws something off the edge of the quarter pipe before going to catch the lift up again. Because Eeb-it, we put it round the corner, didn't we? And then, I mean, I don't know how you fared all right at Eeb-it. Let's be honest in the border cross, but that I was coming over what would have been the downhill, downhill finish line, and then riding that berm round. And of course, the thing that everyone doing as Beiran did in spectacular from right next to that bush, and just hold the line next to the bush, and you're cutting off about 10 meters worth of track by doing that.
Yeah. That's pure balls to the wall, and that's why I think Beiran was so good at it. And I think what David was saying in your podcast about racing, I get where he's coming from, but what it does open up is things that on a mountainboard we don't race. Like bugs is a good example, because halfway down the tracks it's fairly slow for us, and there were inside lines that Amon was doing. Yeah, that if you did when we're racing on a mountainboard, you would just lose too much speed and it just wouldn't work. But because you can accelerate out the corner, he was making them work. And then that line at the end, and Beiran, I think really, he's always had such good board control and such good lines. But if we're, and he will say the same, he hasn't quite had the pumping ability and pumping legs to, in certain areas, and just having that throttle and being able to do the lines that he can do at Eeb-it, he was just like ridiculous. Yeah. It was amazing to see. It almost unlocks an extra bit of potential, that you can do those lines that you couldn't do otherwise.
Oh, without a doubt. Whilst we're on the subject of Eebs, then do you guys have Eebs yourselves?
No, when we raced at Eeb-it, that was my third time on an e-board. I borrowed JML's because he wasn't racing, because I just wanted to give it a go. But I'd love one, but it's finances. It's just money. They're expensive, but they've definitely, no negatives for me about e-board, and they got their place. And I think just seeing Jeff Bond and Mark Bishop as an example, they've come into the sport because of e-boarding.
Yeah,
and vice versa. Mountainboarders start an e-boarding. I think we can there's room for both of us if we can. It was a shame that we couldn't do the original plan last year of Hales of having the electric events.
Yeah,
I think that would have been nice to see. And I think any opportunity to bring fresh blood into the sport at the moment is something that we should definitely jump on.
It's a necessity.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I would love to see a symbiotic sort of competition going on.
Near me there's a lot of uphill bike trails, and those e-boards would just absolutely smash it, because you can do a full circuit going up the hill and then literally carry on, and it will take it back down to the same spot, and you just do a massive circle.
Yeah,
those country park style bike trails that go for the National Trust, have some, Forestry England or the Forestry Commission. They have various sites around, and I got to say, they're our bread and butter at the minute, aren't they, Sloggs?
That Forest at Dean track that I went to the other week that James goes to with launch pad, it's fucking amazing.
Great fun, and that launch pad is good on a regular mountainboard as well. It is. They resurfaced it, and the bottom section is balls to the wall.
Yeah,
it is fast. I think actually having a brake on an e-board would make it more accessible, because me and Connor rode it.
As you drop into that big left-hander, second segment, fucking drops away, doesn't it, every time?
Yeah. After those S bends, you've got so much speed, and obviously you're in the woods. There's trees everywhere, and it is a single track. And I think the e-boards will actually make that more easier to ride. Definitely easier to ride and less scary. Me and Connor, like, it was the first time I'd hit it. Andy Rolfe slid his face along the floor and was in the minor injuries unit, so we were just like figuring it out, and it was proper fast. Loved it.
Yeah. I mean, if anything else, they're probably be quite good learning tools for places like that, because you can, like you say, with not only have you got the power to go up, but you've got that electric brake if you need to on the way down for your descent. So I should imagine places like Serbia, if you had an electric board out there, that might be a time where you could potentially think about learning the track, because you're not going to take all that energy expenditure walking up.
It's a long walk.
Yeah. So you take that out of the equation and give yourself double the amount of riding times at pace where you can control the speed, or because you're going to learn where the course picks up and learn where the course tails off. So and for like the likes of learning a fast track like the Forest of Dean or something like that, you could go in there on the eaves first and get all your lines, know where you're. Use it as a tool, because I think side by side, if I was to go there and ride it with an Eeb rider, I genuinely think without the electric on somewhere like the launch pad, I would be faster, because I don't have the choice.
Fully agree. Because I was backing up on it,
and I was balls to the wall because I had to.
No fucking choice in the matter.
I think that's one thing you potentially could miss out on an Eeb in certain respects, is that I think Steve Burbeck said it when you interviewed, that fuck it moment, where you don't get a choice. There was a couple of corners where I was doing mini scrubs or absorbing a feature to slow myself down a little bit, but other than that, it is fuck it. And the buzz you get at the bottom, me and Connor were like, we're on cloud nine. It's just I think that's the only thing from me I think you may miss out on.
That feeling is exactly the reason why we're doing this Dirt Mountainboard podcast and not an electric Mountainboard podcast.
Yeah.
There's something unique with just gravity. But it is
funny when Amon called it acoustic. Electric and acoustic. I thought that was quite funny.
I think Dan came up with this one. Analog. Was that you, Dan?
I don't know who come up with them. I've tried to think up new ones.
But it was gravity boarding before, wasn't it?
Oh, gravity boarding. I'm not gonna lie, it just sounds gay.
That's what they called it for ages, wasn't it?
Gravity boarding. I don't like that one.
No.
But yeah, that basically that feeling, like you say, is something that I still crave. I'm looking forward to going and doing some, just free ride days without the Eebs. Still doing the UK champs and making sure we, make time for that. Cleve last time. We went to Cleve last year with Mark Hale's organised a meet, and I took both boards there and we carted both boards up there, and I think I had about 2 or 3 runs on downhill and then rode around on the Eeb. Now that was great in that it took me to places on Cleve that I'd never seen before.
Yeah.
I didn't realise there was so much to Cleve and so much great terrain for those Eebs. But because I spent so much time on that, I left it a little bit deflated that I hadn't paid enough. I hadn't paid my dues. Do you know what I mean? Like I felt like I missed out on that walking up with the crew and the crack and whereas off, albeit having a good time, but it wasn't that pure, old school feeling. And I want to make sure that there's plenty of time for that this year.
I still to this day haven't been to Cleve.
If you're not,
Nah, never been. It's the
Bring
one
this
place
year.
that and Forest of Dean.
Cleve needs to be ticked off every mountain boarders list.
Yeah, damn right. It's only an hour from Hereford. I don't know how you never made that trip before going down to Portsmouth.
Yeah, no, never. We did Credden Hill, but which was a bit gnarly. But never done Cleve.
The first free ride we took you on, Mum told me you were too young to go, and I said, "No, you'll be fine." And she was like, "Well, just watch him." I was like, yeah, okay, we'll watch him. And then he went down this run that I didn't want to do because it was really gnarly. And he came around, and you had to jump out of a single track bike berm that was about this big, because if you went round the berm, it just stopped. But you had to jump between two trees. And he said, "I'll go through there." And I said, "I don't think it's wide enough physically for your board to fit through." He went, no, I'll be fine. I was like, "I don't know if you will. You must have only been about 12. And he went, no, I'll be okay. And genuinely jumped out of this berm and just sailed through these trees with probably an inch either side of them and went down. And I was like, yeah, man, he was fine. I ain't doing it, but he did it straight out.
Look, gents, is there...
I've still got one more question.
Oh, bloody hell, we have.
We divulged.
Yeah. Last question. Favorite rider? Because I think this is quite an important one.
Is this going to be a cute one? Is this going to be cute? Where you both go, "Oh, my brother"?
No. No, I've been thinking about this one because I knew you'd bring it up. I think there's two different ones. I think if you're just talking about who we think the best rider is, I would actually unusually say Brindy. I think if you put Brindy on his heyday against Tom on his heyday, I think Brindy would come on top. I think the only difference being I think Tom came to it a bit more naturally and Matt's worked for it harder. If you're talking my favourite rider, it'd be favourite ones my favourite people to ride with either be Ben or Nicky, Giss or Arno.
No.
Yeah.
I think it's important to differentiate between who you see as the best rider and who the favourite rider is.
Yeah, because they're not the same person.
Yeah, the one that gets you stoked, gets you buzzing, gets you riding harder, has the best laugh on the hill with you. That's your favourite rider. Yeah,
obviously there's nothing like obviously riding with your bro, but Nicky Giss, every time I ride with Nicky and Arno, doesn't matter where we are, there's such a buzz. I mean, they are such good riders.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because like when it comes to just general like pushing each other and having a laugh, it's when it's me, you, and Brindy. That one clip I've got of you and him going down the track together and almost crashed into each other at Court Farm.
Yeah.
It's just you can hear in our voices how much fun it is all the way down. But if you're talking about just like general riding, it's difficult because there's quite a few people that have got such a smooth style of riding and certain tricks that are so smooth. But like James said, like I've raced with Arno and it's just something different about how they ride. Like he took my idea with them. But I find running with Arno is just crazy at times.
He's got such a relaxed style,
but he's rapid.
He's so quick on the board. I remember, I'll never forget a race he did in Serbia. I think it was a quarter-final race, and he clipped wheels with somebody on the flat section at the top, and came out worse off for it. So he was fourth, and the other three riders carried on their merry way. And now he was on the flat, so he got up and he tic-tacked his way like an absolute man on a mission. And he must have been at least 2-3 corners behind. By the end of the track, he was in second, about 2 feet away from first. And he was dead last, and he went tic-tacking man on a fucking mission. And it was, honestly, everybody at the top was going wild. It was incredible to see. And yeah, I think he could be quite an underrated rider, in my opinion.
He had that weird tic-tacking way of, he didn't actually pull his board up. He pumped left to right so fast that it actually pulled speed off the floor.
Yeah.
Another thing is the first time I met him was Ben festival, and he did the like 20-foot drop in on orange shocks on like some of the loosest trucks I've ever seen, and still managed to stay straight. It's just mental, but yeah,
Solid riders, solid fucking riders.
Some good answers there.
Well, yeah, gents, we're almost up on time here now. Is there anything you wanted to say? Any shout outs you wanted to put out? Any fucking slams? Who wants some?
Yeah, there's got to be a big shout out to Ted at Champer, because over the last sort of 8 years or 9 years I've been riding for him, he's supported me and you, Ben, quite a lot. He's to go, especially in nowadays sort of this financial and boarding climate, to pay for me, Sonnie and Jolly to go over to Serbia to represent. He really supports everybody, so I think a big shout out to him. And then our parents, really, isn't it? They drove around the country, just taking us to every competition, no questions asked. Don't get me wrong, they were having a good time, having a drink at the same time. But yeah, that along with the wife who doesn't mind me disappearing or will come along with me, I think there's a lot to be said about the people that help you carry on riding.
Yeah.
I think anything for you, Ben?
I think slam wise, I think me and James have never had that proper race with Matt and Andy. I don't think it's ever came down to we've actually had the nice.
We've always wanted a final 2v2.
We've always wanted an exhibition race, proper race.
Let's do an exhibition, if nothing else. If it doesn't come out in the draw.
The way the draws could have happened a couple of years ago, I think it was actually 2017 or 2018. We were like, this could happen if all the races work out how we want them to. It will happen, and then it just, for some reason, I can't remember why, but Matt and Andy both fell over in their races, and me and Ben got to the final, and they were nowhere to be seen. We're like, that was the one opportunity where the draws worked perfectly.
I think they probably bottled it.
Yeah.
I think in the Worlds we got unlucky as well, because it was you and Andy in the semis, and me and Matt in the semis. You and Andy didn't get through. I crashed out.
Yeah,
and just Matt went through.
Yeah, true.
So there was that point as well. We could have done it at the Worlds, but just got unlucky there as well. So I think that needs to happen.
The sport in general, it's if you think about the little things that have literally changed, like that little newspaper ad that our parents saw, and then that'll be a fun day out. Now, because of that, Mum married a mountainboarder from her hair down. We've got a little 10-year-old sister who wouldn't exist without mountainboarding. You know what I mean? It's crazy to think about how that works.
No, you bring me on to something there that I'd almost forgot about. Has it brought much fame to the family, like with your mum's partner being like the lead actor in Sons of Anarchy, starring in Hellboy and stuff,
starring in Game of Thrones as well?
Yeah. He will love that.
I didn't realize. I believe it to be your mum followed the Dirt on Instagram.
Yeah, probably.
And I was like, who's this? And scrolled through, and I was like, I've recognised that's Les White there. But I didn't realise that he was part of the family.
That's why Ben's in Portsmouth now. So I mean, it's crazy. Obviously, our parents were together growing up. And then they separated when I was 18. Ben must have been about 12. And then it was a couple of years afterwards. And again, it's crazy when you think about it, is mountainboarding. But Mum and Les had obviously seen and met each other at competitions. And Mum came into my room when I was still living there, and she was like, I've been invited on a date. It's a long way. It's all the way to Portsmouth. She was like, but I think you know him, Les White. She was like, is he a trustworthy guy? And she said to me afterwards, if I'd have said at that point, no, I think he's a bit weird, then she was like, I probably wouldn't have gone. But I was like, yeah, no, Les is a nice guy. So, she went down, and now they're married. We've got a 10-year-old sister. So
yeah, I live with them down there.
Hellman there as a family member.
Yeah, my mum was she was the manager of Hair Down for the last few years, and yeah, so it's crazy when you think that all started from a little advert in a newspaper when we were 9.
Yeah. Big old chain reaction.
It is bonkers. Matt Gaydon went through the same sort of experience with finding mountain boarding. Don Baker, the same. You know, these little classified sections in the back of skate magazines or snowboard magazines or little freebie extreme sport magazines that were going round in the turn of the millennium and stuff like that.
Yeah, I suppose there's probably an argument for why that sort of thing also isn't helping bring new blood in. You don't get those magazines or anything printable that that brought most of our generation in is stuff like that printable that's just died off. Really, that's got something to be said for as well.
Maybe we shouldn't be doing maybe we should do fucking TikTok instead.
Dylan Warren seems to do really well on TikTok.
Well, yeah. Christ, there's some time doing all those videos, though. I don't know if I can be accurate.
Yeah.
Sloggs made up a lovely TikTok video for us earlier today.
I got Lara bought me a GoPro for Christmas years ago, and I had full intention of making edits and doing these videos and, you know, watching people like Adam, David and stuff that he do. I'd love to put something together like that, but my problem is I turn up and with all the intention of filming, and I have way too much fun riding, and the camera never comes out the back. So it's you've got to have a real passion for the filming side of it as well. Yeah, definitely.
Definitely, and you've got to be willing to make that sacrifice of not riding, basically.
Yeah, and I'd much.
But yeah, well, gents, if there are no more thanks or shout outs or anything like that, I think we're going to look to tie it up here. I can't.
The only thing I say is thank you for having us on.
Thank you, gents. It's been a fucking pleasure. Absolute pleasure.
It's nice to see a new way of you guys continuing the stoke for everybody, really, especially over winter. And a weird thing, it's been nice hearing different things. Like Akoni, we've met a few times now recently, haven't we, in Serbia, and I've got a lot of time for him. But even in the short hour and a half that you guys were speaking to him, I heard stories that I hadn't heard when I was with him, and it's very refreshing. So, like, well done to the both of you.
Well, I don't know to speak for Dan, but for myself, I feel very fucking lucky to be able to do it. Yeah, because it's just for me personally, just to get to speak to all these influential people throughout the sport, throughout the history of the sport. It's a bit fucking lucky, really, for us.
Yeah, I suppose it is what you make of it, isn't it? This life, you know, like you and yeah. Lucky to have got there first, basically, because anybody could have done it, really. And yeah, it is. We see it as a privilege. You know, we're not the best mountain boarders in the world. We've got a few bits of silverware amongst ourselves over the years, but you know, we've not really imprinted in the same ways as the likes of Brindy, yourselves, or you know, Kirkman, and that we'd never do that. But it does give us a good reason to speak to people from around the world and try and extract a few stories and give a little bit of a viewpoint. Like say, we never get anything right either, but if we get enough people on and enough people's opinions and perspectives, then you've only got to look between the lines, haven't you? You've not got to rely on what we say. You rely on the collective.
Yeah. One more thank you. Thanks for actually getting us on before Matt Brind, because it's always nice to be head of anything, really.
Honestly, the begging letters we get off him.
I can only imagine.
Honestly, can I come on now? Can I come on? When's it my turn? We're like, Matt, just throw a fucking question at the super important guests for us and fuck off. Give us another question then. It's relentless.
I bet.
So,
for those of you wondering, we will get Matt on. We will get Matt and Andy on. But we are actually hoping to time their appearances with some of the other events going on. It's got nothing to do with us not wanting them on.
Promise.
Are all four of us intending to go to Brindy's birthday do? Is that
Yeah,
what
I
we're
mean,
Yeah.
round the corner for me, isn't it? Around World. So
Ben, are you going?
I've got every intention of going. It's not a terrible drive, to be fair. 3 hours.
You could get to ride Cleve that weekend.
Yeah, I could make a trip over to Cleve as well.
all launch
make a
pads.
weekend of it.
Either. Yeah.
Well, the only worry with Launchpad is the amount of people.
Yeah.
I reckon if they'll get the ump if
They might. Yeah.
I got pulled up in the car park. I was in the car park just having a fiddle with my board because I had to swap a gear out. And the ranger came and said to me, I hope you're not riding that because that's illegal here. I was like, no, it's broken anyway, so I won't be riding it. And then he fucked off and I went out and rode it.
They don't like motors, so they were real funny apparently about e-bikes for a while, but they won't have motored anything that's powered there. They were finding me and Connor on our boards, and all the bikers are actually like, are you seriously going to be riding these on those? I'm like, yeah. And they were well impressed, but apparently anything motorized, they're a big no-no.
It's fair enough. It's their fucking land, isn't it?
Yeah.
Got to follow their rules or not get caught.
Yeah.
Well, let's hope we have a ride up at Cleve then, maybe.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
But
Well,
who are we to organise Matt's birthday? Let him
there's
do
that.
Yeah. Agreed.
Right, gents.
Yeah.
I'm going to go and get some kit before work tomorrow.
Yeah, man. Been a pleasure.
yeah.
Thank you very much.
See you all soon.
Yeah, see you soon.
Take it easy. Cheers, gents. Bye now.
Bye.